Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. Santino and myself, we have the Wizard with us. Really wanted to talk to him. There's been so much going on this week in markets. The Dow progressively just getting smashed and smashed and smashed. PM markets, bond markets. I'm interested to maybe talk to him about interest rates, some things that I don't really understand very well. It's Friday, March 6th, 2020. Santino, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Moo. How are you?
Good, feeling strong. You and I were talking before we began here, and we were talking about fasted states, exercising in fasted states, the benefits of such. Uh, Give everyone's your opinion on such a thing.
Uh, yeah, no, I mean, I was interested to hear that you practice that and you put it into your physical regime and your MMA stuff because um, really fasting has been a thing. It's not something new. I mean, the ancients used to use fasting. You know, all major sort of um, going back to historical times, whether you're talking about, Catholic monks or whether you're talking about gurus or yogis or Buddhists, they all practice fasting. There's a reason for that. It's because it does bring you into a different state of awareness. It helps you do that. And it, but I think where people get hooked up on it, why it's so difficult, is because people don't give it enough time to get past that wall. You have to get past that wall of hunger, right? Once you get
Yeah,
past that wall, that's when the good stuff starts to happen.
yeah,
That's when the energy begins to take over and your body begins to respond in ways that you don't know are possible unless you go there. But unfortunately, and this isn't a judgment on anybody, but we live in a society where food is so available. People think they need to eat every 5 seconds, and the medical community or the health community nutritionists that push that, right. You should
yeah,
be having 18 small meals a day, blah blah blah.
right.
um, that's, yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know, I'm not a nutritionist, but I can tell you that we don't need to be eating that much. We just
No,
don't.
no, and there's reasons to eat like that. I know some professional bodybuilders that they must eat every 2 hours or they will lose mass, and they're eating specific kinds of high protein, low fat, 3 chicken breasts in a sitting, and lots of things. So to maintain kind of almost at the end of the spectrum, to eat like that, you would have to maintain that kind of muscle, right? Where we're almost talking about I want to be careful with my words, but something so outside the bell for normal human existence and training. But yeah, I run into a lot of fighters, boxers, all sorts of things, kickboxers, MMA, jiu-jitsu, that love to train in a fasted state. Their awareness becomes very sharp. It hardens their mind to separate their will from the body's will. So it creates a separation there where people feel like they have a little bit more control and they listen less to some of the things that their body is telling them when that's not productive for them to complete whatever task they would like to complete. So it really sharpens the focus. And just like you said, ancient cultures have done this for years. There's even religious groups that put it into part of their practice as a time in which they can kind of refocus, cleanse the body, cleanse the mind, become focused on something else other than eating. In ancient history tells us that too. So I'm glad we kind of got to talk about that. It's not something we've
Yeah,
ever talked about, and I'm
it
not.
really can bring moments of remarkable clarity
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
lot of in a lot of things in your life. Different levels of awareness, different levels of energy you didn't know you had. But it's not for everybody because there are unfortunately parts of our population that are quite debilitated,
absolutely.
for different reasons, and fasting would not be for them.
No.
It could be dangerous for them.
Yep.
So I think everybody just needs to sort of judge themselves accordingly.
I think so too. I think that's wonderful. Well, let's talk about markets, man. We can kind of go anywhere you want. I know people are hungry for your views on. So let's just talk about the week in general before we get too specific. Like, what'd you think of the week in the markets?
It's really been, I mean, there isn't anybody watching these markets, even experienced market people that have been in the market for many years, like I have. This kind of volatility is just unprecedented. I mean, 1,000-point moves in the Dow, 1,200 up one day, 1,000 down the next. It's dizzying, you know, and it's generally what you see, this type of volatility is when major trend changes are at play. And if you look at the markets now and you take sort of a 30,000 feet look at it, and you're not get too granular, but you look at everything that's happening, this is clearly what's happening. We're experiencing a transition from something that was to something that's about to be.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you get. It's usually takes a storm for that to happen. So any asset class you're looking at is experiencing either a trend is accelerating or a trend is changing.
Yeah. I find it amazing that, you know, we were talking about PMs just a few weeks ago, and you were expressing, you know, your opinions on the precious metals markets, and we've seen gold just do extremely well here over the last week. And it's amazing when we can get a sell-off. So you and I just took a glance at the chart before we started recording this, and looks like there was a fair amount of selling into the market. But isn't it funny, you know, with such a drop that we're still talking about 1650, right?
Right,
That's
right.
amazing.
Imagine where it was a couple of years ago. I don't have a chart in front of me, but I mean, it
Yeah.
was like at something, you know, and compared to, you know, some other asset classes have done really, really well. And we're not even in the time of gold yet. That's the thing to remember. Like we're just getting started. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at the historically, now you can't always, you know, historically things don't always work out. They don't always repeat exactly the same. But 2008, 2009 crisis happens. Gold really just sort of crept up. It wasn't till didn't peak till 2011.
Right.
So these things don't happen overnight. I know people want them to, but understand, like for gold, this has been quite, by historical standards, has been quite a move.
Yeah.
And silver hasn't even caught, like silver really has not responded yet, barely responded yet. So, and that's the catch-up trade. Silver's the catch-up trade.
Yeah. It's incredible, man. It's incredible. You want to talk about anything about the gold silver ratio? I think we were chatting or went back and forth on the board the other day. I think we're at 98. I think we're at like 98 ratio between gold silver ratio. And I think somebody checked it last night, and I think we're at 96. Any thoughts about that
Yeah,
extreme ratio?
it really is. I mean, that's, again, by historical standards, that's we're peaking now. That ratio is peaking. So does it mean it can't get a little more extended? Sure. Look at these markets. They're absolutely insane. Anything could happen. As long as the markets are in this panicky state, and I would say this is a panicky state, anything is possible. You know, things can become very, very extended.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to understand these are not normal days that we're experiencing. So could that be extended to 100? Very well could. I mean, gold is where scared money runs to first. So that could get even more extreme. But once things calm down and stabilize and people recognize that this is a place to make money, not just, you know, we're not just going there because we're afraid we're going to lose money. We're
Yeah.
now going to go because we think we're going to make money. You know, right now, all markets are, where can I put my money so I don't lose money?
Mm-hmm.
That's all they're thinking. They're
Mm-hmm.
not thinking making money. So where am I going to lose the least? And gold is winning that. But it will also win the, okay, where am I going to make money? I mean, where's money going to go? I mean, what's left in the world? Where's it going to go? Yields are at all-time lows. Nobody's making money, and all the money's been made in the bond market.
Yeah.
There's nothing left to squeeze out of that orange. So, and understand this: the size of the bond market is like, you know, massive. It's one of the biggest markets in the world, if not the biggest. So where's that money going to go? I mean, gold only needs to catch a small percentage of that. And then Bitcoin only needs to capture a small percentage of that percentage.
Yep.
To explode them, right? So these markets are poised for really explosive moves, because not even so much because they're just fantastic investments, but simply the math works out. It's just math,
It's
right?
just math.
That, I mean, people, I get it. People are so excited about their investments, and I fall into this trap as well. But
Sure.
the reality is that what's going to move these asset classes is going to be, oh, there's no money to be made in the bond market, and it looks like gold is now technically turned around. And oh, what about this Bitcoin thing? Why don't we throw 0.2% of my worth into that?
Yeah.
And that's all it'll take to explode these markets, because they're just so small.
Yeah.
Does it mean that Bitcoin's the greatest thing on earth? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that the amount of money coming in is going to explode it. Now, I do believe we're going into an environment where crypto is going to assert itself in a real way. But and crypto investors need to understand that's not going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is these panicking markets we're experiencing now, because it's, like I said, this is the trend change. This is the process, painful process of trends changing, of us moving into a different environment. That doesn't happen in 2 or 3 trading days. That takes weeks and months to play out.
Yeah. Give me your perception on, so from 2008, 09, it was obvious that we were in a liquidity crunch, right? And this was before a lot of the massive printing and the will, right? And the desire and the plan to just print. Well, I think those that are in charge of that printing are very comfortable now with that. Do you see any sort of liquidity issues when we go into this next problem? Because I really don't. I think they're gonna hyper liquidate, and I just don't think it's even gonna bother them.
Yeah, there's some truth to that, Moo. Where it's a very different environment in 2008, 2009, and central banks learned a thing or two from that. Banks are far better capitalized today than they ever were. There's more, they have more ability to liquefy markets than they did before. But having said that, there certainly are some shaky parts of the market that could bite them in the ass. And one of them is the high yield debt, corporate bond markets. There's a lot of sectors that are on the ropes because of these trend changes that I'm talking about.
Okay.
So for instance, the oil and gas sector. So we're seeing what used to be really solid investments in that industry becoming very, very shaky. And they're, yield, when I say yield, I mean, these bond traders and large investment houses looking for safe returns have been buying these the oil and gas companies because they're offering 6, 7, 8% in yields.
Right.
Well, you got to ask yourself, why are they offering 6, 7, 8% in yields? And how safe is that underlying asset? Well, as it's turning out, these are becoming very risky investments. And we just don't know how that is going to unfold. We don't know how many banks are tied into those kinds of high yield, lower grade corporate yields and bonds. I think there's a lot of money tied up in that, and they're starting to get scared. You can tell. Part of this because of that. Part of what the Fed is doing is they're worried about that area. They're not saying it, but I know they are. So I don't know. I really don't know how that's going to play out. I would say 2 things to watch out for is high yield corporate bonds and how shaky they are. And if we start to see a collapse in that area, that will trigger a number of scary things. Also, a currency crisis, coming out of the emerging markets, the FX markets. I think the international countries and their currencies are in real trouble. They can't, you're looking a bond yield, 10-year bond yield at 7.5 or whatever it is, US bond rate. Understand, we have never seen rates that low.
Yeah.
That is not healthy. And that's the US. In international markets, it's even lower than that. So this is this whole negative yield, negative bonds, negative interest rate environment coming, rearing its ugly head. There had to be a reckoning at some point. We just knew we couldn't go on like this forever.
Yeah.
But my feeling is that they will find new and creative ways to keep the markets from getting stuck, right?
Yeah.
What we're experiencing now, and I've termed it this way before, it's the best way to understand it, I think, is you're in a car driving on a highway, you're going 80 miles an hour, everything's great. There's warning signs along the way, but you're ignoring them. And all of a sudden your engine seizes up.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, okay, what do I do to get that engine unstuck? Yeah. And this is where we are. We just came out with job numbers this morning in the US. They were good, but this is before the CV sort of panic, right?
Sure.
So now, and everybody's saying, these were good. The economy was doing well. I agree. I do agree. The American economy is a miracle. I fully admit that. But think now, when everything is stopped, everything in the world is stopping, they're shutting down schools everywhere. People aren't going out. People are frozen. That is going to be, you're going to see that in the next set of numbers.
Yeah.
That will be the second shoe to drop.
Yeah.
Right. Because when you look at the next set of numbers compared to the numbers we just had, the drop is going to seem insane. And so that's when I think you're going to see probably the administration begin to do things like directly trying to put money into people's hands, which is they'll probably do it through tax rates. Maybe they'll do creative kinds of incentives for people, and they will eventually begin. And you're already seeing this in Europe. You're seeing this in Japan. You've seen this in other countries. The government begins to own their own stock markets. Right. So,
if you were writing a novel, right? If you were writing a novel and you were talking about this, like, if I would have read this when I was younger, I would say, it's ridiculous. It's so silly. Right.
You wouldn't believe it, right?
No, I'd be like, this book's trash. That would never happen.
Right.
But that's exactly what has happened and is going to continue to happen.
Yeah. And they're doing it in sneaky ways. I mean, they're beginning to, what they'll do is they'll offer, special loan incentives to buy stock.
Yep.
Well, that's essentially government repatriating its own businesses, its own stock market. Yep. Right.
And
so we've got a lot of interesting things going on.
Yeah. Not even clamping down on the, the company buybacks of stock to push that price higher too. Right. We've seen a lot of that over the last several years.
That's right. Yeah. Cheap money isn't enough anymore. How much cheaper can money get? So they're going to have to come up with creative ways. Right. You've seen they panic. They panic dropped rates yesterday. The Powell did 50 basis points, and it hasn't stabilized the markets. That's not a good sign.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It looks like we're currently down another $400 or $500 right now in the market.
Because people know what I just said.
Yeah.
Because people understand, what does it matter? The money's already cheap.
It's already cheap.
And we do with that. So they will now begin the next form of stimulus. This is like phase 2. Yeah. Probably panic, maximum panic and pessimism sometime in March. The ultimate inevitable reaction from world banks. I'm just speculating like everybody else. I don't know anything more than anybody else, but certainly it's certainly been playing out this way. And we'll see what happens, but we get through this, and then the blow off, and then we begin to march towards the inflate everything environment.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I just want to reiterate, this is not financial advice. This is just two friends talking about things. When I need to know about interest rates or markets or bonds or things I don't really understand, or I understand a little bit, but I don't understand them in a larger context at all. I try and connect with my buddy Santino, and I find his perspective to be wonderful. I'm a dude in a hoodie, and Santino's like a ghost. He doesn't even have a face. So you shouldn't listen to any kind of financial advice from these two yahoos.
Yeah, I definitely second that.
What else do I want to talk about? Let's talk about some crypto for a minute. I don't want to put you on the spot, but there's a couple cryptos that you've been talking about over the last, I'd say, more than 6 weeks that you were interested in: Kyber, Network Crystal, Hashgraph. Um, Let me pull up a list because they're all kicking ass today, and it caught my attention. And when I looked at the chart, when I looked at some of these charts, and I don't really look at charts necessarily, but I was surprised that the ones you like are just kicking ass today. So like Zilliqa is doing well, Kyber Network Crystal is doing well, ETH is doing well. Yeah, Hashgraph. Can you you want to offer any thoughts there, or how did you know these were going to do well, if you can say?
Well, I could say that, you know, it's because I'm a crypto guru and I knew that they were getting, but that's not true. I mean, the only reason those things caught my attention was because they were just acting well technically.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I didn't know anything about those cryptos,
Mm-hmm.
I would look at them on a chart and say, yeah, they're acting really well compared to their peers. They're outperforming compared to their peers, or they look like they're about to start outperforming.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it was just that and a little bit of good luck has proven me right on those ones. But they also happen to have good fundamental stories, right?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So minus the CV issue, minus some sort of shipping problem, despite some sort of TA information which you receive, which ones are you excited about that are kind of independent of these other things that are occurring that everyone else seems to be paying attention to, and solely paying attention to? But what are the ones that stick out to you that, like, you've talked about usage before? I talked about usage. When it comes to FA, those are the things that really get me excited, and I think get you excited as well. When these we can make some determination about their usefulness, and thus price should be shortly following. Any stand out like that to you?
Well, I mean, it's no surprise, and Moo, you've been on this from the beginning as well, and we've been talking about this for months. But these many of these ones that are performing well technically are also linked to the DeFi space.
For
So
sure.
that is not an accident. You know,
No.
Kyber running decentralized exchange, and you've got ETH where it just so much activity is going on the ETH platform. All it's attracting some of the best devs in the world.
Yeah.
Why is Tezos going up? I mean, it's a DeFi story, right?
Right.
And Link, why is Link going up? Well, Link allows the legacy world to operate with the Ethereum world and the on-chain world.
Yep.
Who else does that as better than Link? I mean, nobody.
No one. No one. Yeah, I've been you know this. I've been fairly obsessed with those two. I want to share something here, and I should have probably sent this to you before we started, but I came across this the other day, and we don't have to get too in depth with this, but I do want to share something here because I came across an article, and these are specifically DeFi tokens, and it was somebody was asking this person about allocations into just a DeFi specific portfolio, and I thought of you when I came across this article. So we won't start. So I'll include this in the links below if anybody's interested in this. And I just thought this was really good. And it's they're calling it the DeFi Dream Portfolio Holdings. So let me know if you can see this little pie chart here. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. This blue here represents ETH. So then a quarter of this pie is Link at 25%. They had the Synthetics token at 10. They have MakerDAO at 5, Kyber Network Crystal at 5, and then they lump a bunch of them into just an other 5%. In this other 5, they're calling Ren, Loom, Nexus Mutual, Augur. I don't know how to pronounce that way. One, I don't even know what it is, and Uniswap. I would probably put Unibright in that category as well, to be honest with you, even though I don't hold any of that. Listen, a lot of times when I'm talking about tokens, it is completely independent of my own holdings. I typically just try and talk about things that I find interesting, and I thought that this was interesting. What do you think about this as far as just a hypothetical DeFi portfolio, because I would love to see you even privately put one together and have me look at it. But what do you think about this? Do you think this is pretty right on, or?
I don't know who put this together, but that does not look too dissimilar to mine, except I have a bunch of smaller ones as well that I just, that a lot of people know, the Doges and the,
Mm-hmm.
those types, and have some XRP and a few other things. But aside from those
Yes.
smaller,
Yeah,
this
specifically a DeFi portfolio. So this is
for
just,
specifically DeFi, I mean,
yep.
this to me makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This to me makes a lot of sense. I've made no secret that ETH has now become my biggest holding.
Yeah.
And yeah, look at, Link 25%. Yeah, those other ones, Kyber, absolutely. I mean, I think if you had this as a DeFi, that really seems like, to me, like a reasonable split between some of the performers, right?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, this was good. I'll include this and I'll send it over to you too, or post it up at Sam's board. Um, yeah, I thought this was good. And I'd be interested in hearing anyone else's kind of allocations into a DeFi portfolio. I'm open to it. I think this is really good. I would consider Tezos, to be honest with you, with some of the things. Listen. They know that Ethereum now is proving itself as DeFi, which I don't think a lot of holders understood what role in the decentralized finance that ETH was going to play. So there's a lot of blockchains now, specifically Tezos, that is very interested in being a part of this decentralized space. So they're not going to leave that money on the table. They're not going to leave those markets on the table. They're going to come hot and heavy towards those. Plus, how it kind of works, it's kind of specifically designed to do some of those things really, really well. So I would probably also, even though it's more future than current, but I would probably have a little sliver that I would consider Tezos as being part of DeFi. I know there would be a lot of people that probably tell me I'm nuts and how I don't understand tokens, but I've been doing this a long time. I think I understand tokens pretty well.
I would agree, totally agree with you on Tezos. And I, the thing is, there's going to be a lot of room, right? It's not a binary choice.
No.
It's not like, you got to choose between Tezos and ETH. Just own both, right?
Yeah.
Because this space is going to be a monster. It's going to be a monster because big money knows it can make money there, and it's got real life use, right?
Yeah.
And people in legacy markets understand the concept of DeFi.
Yeah.
Right. They understand how it works. Whereas some of the tokenomics is a little more ethereal, a little more difficult to understand what the application is.
Yeah.
For people that work in traditional markets. So that's why DeFi has become so popular, right?
Yeah.
The derivatives market for tokens and on-chain protocols is also going to be huge. It's going to be massive.
Yeah.
Because notwithstanding all the things we started this discussion with about how things are changing, some things never change.
Right.
It'll just be a new form of derivatives, right?
Yeah.
If the oil and gas industry suffers a giant setback, I mean, I just saw here, one of my alerts,
Yeah.
oil is down 8% today. I mean, that's going to put a lot of pressure in that industry. That industry is not faring well, and it will not fare well. So you're seeing that change. So from that, what they'll do is they'll repackage how they worked the oil and gas industry somehow into the token industry, into the crypto industry. It's the same thing, just a different asset, right?
Very astute, sir. I don't know what else to say. I think you're right.
Yeah, that's how it'll work.
That's exactly how it worked.
Yeah.
And that's something that didn't initially come to mind when I thought about the oil and gas industry, but bingo, you just hit it. So thank you. You did.
Yeah. The people that are behind this DeFi revolution in crypto are people that have come from the legacy markets. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, because you'll notice, and I don't want to give away names or projects or code names of projects. That's not my place here right now. But you can tell these people speak finance. They don't speak tech. It's obvious.
Right. You, of all people, would be able to see that, right?
Yes. Because when I don't understand the words, they're finance words. Um, where that's really, it's not really, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, when I come across terms that are technical, I'm not confused. Not typically confused about economic terms, but yeah, finance. Yep. Very confused. Yep.
I was thinking more in terms of you would be able to pick out very quickly that they don't understand the granular technical side of what they're involved in,
Nope.
right? They're just kind of like, okay, well, can it do this?
Right.
Right. That's the kind of question. How do they know? Because these are the questions I ask. Right.
Right.
Well, if we were to package it in this kind of a derivatives, like, would you have a platform that could do that? That's how they start a conversation.
That's, you are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You're
Yeah.
right on target.
Yeah.
I want to read a little bit about Link. So I don't know if you know what Mixicles are, but this is a good example. So there's a paper here, and it's a white paper, and it's buried within the Chainlink archives, and it's called Mixicles.pdf. And this is something I tried to leave this breadcrumb a couple times, but it seems like people just haven't picked it up. So I want to read something. So it says Mixicles. Simple, private, decentralized finance. So it says abstract. We show how to use oracles to build simple, privacy-preserving, decentralized finance, DeFi instruments that we call Mixicles. So now when you're coming across that term Mixicles, you know what they're talking about. Mixicles ingest input payments from two or more parties and yield payouts that are conditional on Oracle reports. They are designed to provide privacy for both the terms and outcomes of the financial instruments they execute. At the same time, Mixicles can support rigorous regulatory and auditing requirements. Ding, ding, ding. That's important. The most appealing feature of Mixicles is their avoidance of expensive cryptography and complicated contract structure. Mixicles are conceptually simple and have low on-chain and off-chain resource consumption. And then it goes on to just say, we present an example implementation to show how they work and demonstrate their benefits. So I'm just going to share this real quick. Anything you would like to say to that?
Well, like you say, those certainly have all the ingredients of a killer application, don't they? I've not come across this before, so I would
Yeah.
have to look. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, working with regulators is going to be key. But because believe me, nothing is going to work unless they've got regulator support.
Right.
And anybody that is going to put money, real money, into something wants to know that it's not going to be wiped out because the SEC came out and said it made some decision, right?
Right. Yeah, these things will almost have the blessing before they even get to that point. We're talking
For
about,
sure.
we're
Yeah.
talking about financiers now. We're not talking about cryptographers, right? So,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
they
They'll
think,
take a chance. They'll take a chance.
yeah,
Yeah, but financiers won't. Right.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how it says the most appealing feature of the Mixicles is their avoidance of expensive cryptography and complicated contract structure. Oh, the shit I'm interested in.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously this is for the financiers. So
So is this an on-chain protocol or no?
on and off,
Yeah.
Mixicles can operate both ways. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what makes them unique.
Yeah. And it goes beyond on-chain ownership through tokenization. So
Right.
that
Right.
once we begin to tokenize stuff, there's four different ways in which now we can divide an asset that we can't with physical assets. So
So that's why you can see. That's why people have to really open their minds, right, to where we're going. Because if you get too stuck in any narrative, you're going to miss these kinds of opportunities, right? Like Hedera Hashgraph is one of those,
yep,
right?
yep,
Like true crypto nerds are going to go, that is a complete fraud,
right,
right? That is just an absolute complete fraud. But they miss that financiers and people in real money, they're going to want simple solutions where their money doesn't get trapped.
yes, and they require it to be simple for numerous reasons. One is regulatory, right? Because when you're
Right.
speaking to a regulatory body, right, you think you're going to be able to show them. I don't want to go too far down the road with this, but some formulation of 30 pages of very complex math, right? That's not going to work. That is not going to work. But I'll stop there. But yeah, this is 46 pages. So
That's amazing. So
yeah,
I think we should expect to see a number of investments, I'll call them crypto light,
Yeah.
right? They'll be like crypto light. There won't be the real stuff. They'll be crypto light, and there'll be, you know, real people who love crypto and people that understand what it means, and people that are in it from the beginning will hate every part of it.
Yeah.
But it will go on to be phenomenally successful and will
Yeah.
earn its place in the crypto universe, right?
Yep. Yeah, this goes on to talk about binary options, how this would work. They're talking about U.S. women's foil fencing team wins gold in 2024 Olympics, and Tesla stock at a specific time in the future. Yeah, so this is great. I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
I love that kind of stuff. But I'm with you. I've been saying for some time now, and I continue to see, and I think it's really important for people to understand, we're going to have subsets of crypto, many different subsets of crypto.
Yep.
And some of them will work with each other, some of them won't. It's going to be bifurcated, and
Yep.
you're going to see them branch out into their own areas and expand into their own areas. Same way the dot-com boom and the internet boom of the late 90s has created all these different areas of the economy today.
Yeah.
And some of them are very different from each other, but they were all spawned from the same idea, right?
Boy, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Lots of different cryptos for lots of different reasons. Lots of different software is how I like to think of it, for lots of different.
Software is the right word.
Yeah,
Exactly right. Yes.
for lots of different uses. What did I want to say about that? There was something that kind of stuck in my mind. Yeah, how far? Thank God that we're moving now beyond the my XYZ chain token that I hold is 9 times faster than your, ABC chain token. Like how kindergarten does that sound now when you really understand where the space is going, right?
Right. It's a very limited view. Even the people that were involved at the beginning, and which have my complete respect, even they really don't understand what their baby is going to turn into, right? And like any parent, you don't see that. You
No.
don't see that in your kids, right? They're not the ones that are going to, it won't be the parents of a child that teach it the lessons it needs and makes it actually needs to go out into the world and experience the world. And the world is its teacher, right?
Yeah.
So that's what crypto is going to be like.
Yeah. Yeah. And mad geniuses from all over the planet will want to use this software to do different things or have a different take on what this software can do. And they'll go out and they'll be wildly successful in either creating their own software or wanting to fork an existing one, or understand a mechanism of finance in which a lot of people don't, but understands that this software or this technology could be perfect for it.
That to me, Moo, what you just said there, to me, is the most exciting thing about crypto, because when people understand that some 16-year-old in Sri Lanka is going to make an application, or is going to find a use case for crypto that nobody else has thought of,
Yep.
and it turns into a giant thing.
Yep.
We're going to see a lot of that happen. Things sparking all over the world. We're not going to be able to keep on top of it.
No.
Like it's going to be one of these ecosystems that there's just nobody's going to be able to stay on top of it. It's just going to expand so rapidly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Genie's out of the bottle. Pandora's box. Let's talk a little bit. We'll probably just have this be the last thing. I want to go over lots of FA type things, lots of news articles surrounding blockchain, but I'm not going to read a bunch of articles. I just kind of want to hit the headlines because, man, the world's changing. So, and I hope people are paying attention. Chinese, probably when you think of China, if I was to say China, everybody'd be thinking of CV. Well, when I hear China, I think, Chinese province sees first official Bitcoin zone created in Hunan province. That's amazing, right? What else did we get? We got Germany classifying crypto as a legitimate financial instrument. This means that their bank can hold custody, they can buy, they can sell, they can do lots of things with crypto that they couldn't do before. We have places like Brazil, the Ministry of Education, openly talking about wanting to offer a blockchain, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency degrees to their people if they'll go through a 4-year education. That's cool. We got new exchanges opening up in Vietnam, Thailand, lots of different places. France just a few hours ago classified Bitcoin as a legal form of money. What? Yes. We got South Korea now coming online. And if anybody doesn't understand why we got to 20K, South Korea was a big part of that. India coming online, basically coming out publicly and saying that it's not illegal. And they have lots of people. We even saw yesterday, there was an article about, so this is funny, but New York State, so the state of New York, one of the most, I'm going to say hypocritical places for Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, legislation, licensing. Well, we found out through Bloomberg News yesterday that New York State has been mining its own crypto for a long time, mining its own Bitcoin.
I hadn't heard that, but I'm not surprised.
So I'll include that article. Just do you have anything to say about all that? I gave you about, I don't know, 8 or 10 or 9 or something. But wow, that just, it goes to show me, man, if you think this is going to be like 2017, 2018, it's not.
It's definitely not. It's going to look very, very different. Totally unpredictable as to how it's going to sort itself out and how it's going to proceed. But whatever it is, you can bet that it's going to be good. And, what I would say is that, when we look at things like CV and we look at things like the unstable debt markets that's been happening now for a year, these crazy sort of Frankenstein economics that we've been experiencing.
Yeah.
This is going to spur innovation. It's going to, out of desperation comes these great inventions, right?
Yeah.
Humanity has a way of just adapting itself to its new environment. Not without pain, though. You can't do that without pain. Has to be there first, right? Yeah. So, the Spartans had a philosophy that if something doesn't deserve to survive, you don't help it, you push it.
Yeah.
Right? You push it off a cliff.
Yes.
Right? That was their view. Now, that seems very cold. I understand, but understand that is consciousness works that way sometimes, right?
Yeah.
It does, and we have to be real about that. So it will destroy what is not meant to be, and it's not always pretty how it does it. It's not, and who knows why? Like not everything needs to be known, right? It's a mystery why it needs to work that way, but it does. Through that pain comes all this new stuff, this new economy that many of us have been seeing for a long time.
Right.
So how did people think that was going to happen? It wasn't going to be a smooth transition. And if you think of yourself in your own life, at least I can speak to this, and I think many can relate to this. The greatest, experiences I've had have come as a result of some painful experience.
Yeah, science teaches us that. Biology teaches us that. I feel like that's a guiding force in my own life. Without irritation, there is no growth. Absolutely. 100%. I have a good friend that's going through a tough time, and we had a long talk this week about that. Man, I hope he recognizes that the person going through this trauma is going to be, if he can hold on and if he can understand where he's at and what he needs to learn, and maybe filter out and throw away the things in his life that aren't important and focus on the ones that he does believe are very important, he will be very successful. He becomes stronger after.
Yeah. And that's the hope, right? When you go through these painful experiences. Well, the world economy and the politics of the world and the social discourse of the world is no different than what happens to us as human beings. Yep. It's just on a wider scope, right? That's how consciousness learns. It's through suffering and painful experience. And you're better off just being real about that.
Yeah, and embrace the suck, as
right.
I've heard it said.
Right.
What else are you gonna do? You gonna crumple under the weight? I'll leave that for somebody else.
Exactly. So I think we're going to see that whatever comes out of this pandemic, you could see, and I'm not saying I know anything, but you could see a situation where they put together some of the greatest scientific minds on the planet to attack this virus.
Yep.
And in so doing, they find a discovery for viruses in general.
And
Maybe that happens. Maybe all of a sudden, we're looking, what started out as the worst thing that ever happened to us becomes a cure for Epstein's Barr,
some form of cancer.
some form of cancer, any virus that's ever been created, right down to sexually transmitted diseases.
Yep.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Because it's the same technology. It's viruses all operate the same. So who's to say that that doesn't happen? That could happen.
Yeah.
And because they've never attacked it the way they're attacking now.
Yeah.
They're never put together the full weight of the scientific community in trying to sort of tackle this. And there's no way that good stuff isn't going to come from that.
Right. Yeah, I love this idea. I've gotten in these debates before with certain people about the idea of, well, where are we as a society compared to where we were thousands of years ago? Well, we are so much better off. The technology we have, the resources in which your average person has getting, peaches from Guatemala or wherever within a few days, like access to information. A lot of people don't even really need to go to college anymore. Whatever interests you, you can find the resources, and a lot of them are free, and you can become very, very, very educated about a whole lot of stuff. We could talk about water purification. We could talk about the number of scientists and engineers walking around on the planet. We could talk about literacy rates and how many people can read and write and communicate and can speak computer language and mathematics that couldn't, 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, 200 years ago. And it's wonderful. I'm excited about the future, man.
I am too, because I see that there will be very few problems that technology won't be able to solve down the road, including financial problems. So that's why I'm not a believer in Armageddon or the zombie apocalypse or, everything collapse. Look, can a comet hit us one day?
Sure.
Look, obviously, if the creator so desires, he brought us in, he can bring us out.
Yeah.
But I just don't see that as our fate. I don't see that as our fate. And I think technology, all forms of technology, of which crypto is just a small part of, is going to play a huge role. And we're going to be going into, I believe, quite an interesting time for the rest of my life, and certainly people younger than me, even better. Won't be without its challenges, of course.
No.
For us, it's CV and viruses. Maybe they slay that one day. Then it'll be humanity will create some other issue that they have to deal with. There will always be an issue. There's no, there's no such thing as we came here to experience volatility.
Yeah.
And ups and downs. We'll have that. But I see technology playing a massive role, especially in the form of diseases.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the things that people suffer with now, and I'm not talking, 30, 40 years from now, probably within the next decade, will be a thing of the past.
Yeah. Yeah. What a fortunate time to be alive. Well, I don't really have any more. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your insight. Anything else you want to add here at the end, Santino? Thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate you.
No, I just like I said, I just always enjoy our chat. So if others get something out of it, then I'm quite happy about that.
That's great. Well, thank you very much. Go ahead and hang on the line. I want to chat with you for a few seconds.
Thanks, Moo.
Yeah. See ya. See ya, but not really. All right. See you in a second.